Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. So in this video, we're going to do a velocity banking review. And I got this and quote, stole this idea from Vanntastic. I was looking at her channel. I think it came up in my recommended feed. And she was talking about paying off debt with zero cash flow. Now, I've studied velocity banking for a while. And for some reason, the idea of having zero cash flow and being able to use it to pay off your debt didn't come to me, and I just found that to be an amazing, great video. So I'll put a link to that video on the description below. But I'm just going to do my own review of a situation where you would have zero cash flow. So let's say this is the average American right here, where we have $3,000 of income, goes to our checking account. We have $3,000 of expenses. And as I said before, if you ever seen my Velocity Banking 101 video, we go through the steps. So the first step is we always have to do a budget, especially with the expense breakdown. So every line item that we have to put down is our debts and all of our other expenses. But what's really important is that every debt that you have has to be its own line item, because every debt that you have decreases is eating up your cash flow. So here we have a student loan that takes away $400 a month, car loan that takes away $600 a month. So these are kind of somewhat averages, because my understanding is the average student loan payment is about 400. Same with car loans, where it's the average is now 600 or 700 a month. And then other things, rent, food, gas, insurance, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so in this situation, if I never ever needed like $1 extra than my budget expenses, um, I'd be screwed, right? Like I make 3,000, I save 3,000, I live in paycheck to paycheck, and um, there's too much month and not enough check, right? I think that's the saying. And so, how can we use velocity banking so that we can pay off our debts easily while not feeling paycheck to paycheck constrained by that feeling that, again, there's too much month and not enough check. Well, if you have the right tool, so let's say I was able to get a $25,000 line of credit. This would be our tool that we're going to use. Now, you might say, well, if someone's living paycheck to paycheck, would they able to get such a line? I would say it depends, right? And here's the most important thing when it comes to getting borrowing money. Banks don't lend you money when you need it, right? So if you're in a tough situation where you've been living paycheck to paycheck, and you've been late on bills, and your payments are 90 days late, it's very unlikely that you'll be able to get a huge line of credit at this limit. But that's why it's important that you understand what banks are looking for and have a good credit profile, and that you are able to borrow the money before you ever need it and you're in the situation. So just want to throw that out there. Okay, so what's the first step? So we got the budget. Second step was we have our tool called the line of credit. And what we do is we just do a debt transfer. So what we do is we move this debt. So the 10,000 and 13,000, we just move it to here. So we'll be 23,000. And then what we do is, because these are essentially paid off, we're going to strike them out. And now what happened? Well, basically, our expenses went down by $1,000. So same paycheck, $3,000. Expenses is now $2,000, right? Savings, we're still going to put at zero, because what would essentially be our potential savings is now going to be used to pay down a line of credit. So if you're not familiar, watch the Velocity Banking 101 video. But now what we're going to do is we're going to put this entire paycheck to here, and we take out our expenses accordingly. So we're just going to do an easy Excel formula to calculate the next month's balance, which is H 2 minus 1,000, right? And so, but after each month, the balance is going to go by 1,000. So it should take about probably 23 months to completely eliminate the debt, right? So I'm just going to rapidly do this. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. and then we're at 0 right here. But what's really important that when we do it this way is that if we don't use a line of credit and we're living paycheck to paycheck, and we need an extra $10 or $20 or $25, we're screwed. Even in this situation, where let's say we had a credit card, but we're not putting our entire paycheck in the credit card, then we pretty much are also screwed because we're not using the tool, the line of credit correctly, because we should put our entire paycheck in so that our entire cash flow is used to pay down the balance of the debt, right? So just by moving this debt to a line of credit, we've essentially created $1,000 of cash flow, where we've minimized $1,000 expenses almost out of nowhere. So again, this tool isn't going to be free. You're going to have to pay interest. So in order to kind of estimate the interest, what we do is we take the interest rate and multiply by the balance and then divide by 12. Or we could just say balance. So it's previous month's balance, do a formula, I2 times, oh, I'm sorry, not I, H2 times the interest rate, 0.5, and then you divide by 12. You always divide by 12 because interest rates are quoted annually. And when you're doing monthly calculations, you have to divide by 12. Technically, they do average daily balances. So you just divide by the number of days in a month if you're going to do that. But we'll just do it like this. Okay, so now 0.5. So we got that. And then now we're going to calculate the interest that we would pay. So it's going to be a little bit high just because our cash flow isn't that high. But let's go ahead and sum it up. All right. So we pay about $34,000 in interest. And it took us about, let's see how long it took us. We can just fill this in right here. Can we not? Oh, let me just quickly fill this in. And then I'll just do an Excel formula. So J4 plus 1. And let's see how many months. So 23 months in order for us to pay off this debt. And it costs us about $3,400. But that's okay because here we were just living a stressful life from paycheck to paycheck. And it just felt like that you'd suffer more than probably years and years and years, but a little bit under 2 years, we're able to eliminate the debt and immediately bring psychological relief. Because let's say once we have it to the line of credit and we have that $1,000 of cash flow, if we need an extra $10 at any point in this process, now obviously you don't want to spend more than the cash flow, but if you ever did, right? So let's say at this point I need an extra $50 or $500. Yeah, it would delay the process in paying off that debt, but you have liquidity, your money, and you're going to be okay if you have some unexpected expenses. Where in this situation, if something happened, you had an extra $100 bill that you couldn't pay, or you needed some more food than you thought at the grocery store, and you have to essentially be incredibly disciplined and follow the budget to T. Whereas here, you would follow it, but there's much more flexibility in how you could live day to day. So this is an amazing tool method to pay off your debt and feel like you're going to be okay when just by doing one thing, you're not living paycheck to paycheck anymore. You'll be okay. All right. So this is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you want to review Velocity Banking more in detail, I'm going to put some more links that will explain more in detail how Velocity Banking works. This is the situation where somebody lives paycheck to paycheck, where the income is exactly the amount as the expenses. So I think this is an amazing scenario, and I wouldn't have even thought of it unless I watched this channel. So shout outs to Vanntastic. And I knew about Velocity Banking before, but I just didn't really think about how it would help in this situation. Okay. So, oh, one other thing, if you're interested in joining our group, go ahead and click the Google form below and send us your an inquiry, or you could send us an inquiry through the email address listed in the About section of the YouTube channel. All right, I'll see you all next time.